You see in this example here how my video is following the mouse left and right, but not up and down. That is not a manual keyframe. I have tracked the mouse and only allowed it to move to the left or right. So this is actually take two of me making this video. And a big thank you to Transform XRed for coming into the comments the first go round and correcting me, because goodness, the first way I went about doing this was very convoluted, and it is much simpler than you might think. So, alrighty, and so in DaVinci Resolve, in the Fusion page, you can see that I already have my mouse tracked here. I'm not going to cover how to do tracking. I'm going to assume that you already have somewhat of a decent track, and if we zoom in here, you can see that it does a pretty good job following the mouse. So, normally what you would do when you were trying to lock on, stabilize some footage, you would go to your tracker, go over to the Operations tab, change the operation to match move, and the merge type to just background only. And what that'll do is it will lock on to your background track. However, there are situations like these where I don't really want the noise going up and down. I just want it to stay moving left and right. The solution to this is actually surprisingly easy. And again, I'm kind of beating myself on the head for not seeing this sooner. All we need to do is in the viewer, the preview window, not on the inspector tab, not in the graph, not on the node. We need to right click anywhere with the tracker node selected where we can see our tracked path. We need to right click, go over to where your tracker polyline is. Now mine is tracker 1.2 path because this is the second point that I use to track. Yours might be named something differently, but we want the polyline path itself. Scroll down until you see convert to XY path. Bang. Now it's going to ask you if you want to move it at all. We do not want to do that. I repeat, do not change it. Hit OK. And it might not seem like there's a change in anything happening here, but if we open up our spline window, you can see that our path has been converted to X and Y coordinates. So depending on what you'd like to do, for me, I only want the change in X. I only want the change in X. I don't want the change in Y. So I'm going to deselect the X variable and hit Control A to select all of our Y points. And when I hit delete, you'll notice that our path becomes straight immediately. And that is so slick. So thank you again, Transform XRed. Definitely saved me a headache or two. Just be aware that this is a destructive operation. So while I'm still on this Fusion page, I can hit Control Z to access our points and regain the ups and downs. But when you delete these points, you hop out of Fusion, close the program, you're not going to be able to gain that information back unless you redo your track. So what I'm going to do is I am going to tag on the method that I ended up figuring out to the end of this video, just in case you want to learn a little bit more about Fusion and expressions, because I do think it's a little bit useful, but hope this helps you guys out, and I will see you in the next one. In a recent video I was recording, I had a section where I was cycling through the different color page tabs, and I thought it might be interesting to follow the mouse. So what I did is initially zoom in on this position, added a tracker node, but you can see when I track the mouse moving across the screen, there's these little jumps up and down that I didn't want to include in the track. And the root to this problem stems right here. You see, a lot of times when you're using transform nodes or things that have a center position, they couple both the X and Y position. And the result is a change in displacement and not a change in X and Y. The key to this is to just access the X position here, right? We need to access our X position at this point. And this is the little tidbit that we figured out. If I hover over my property over here, you can see if I look down in the bottom left, it gives me that variable's name. So it's tracker1.trackCenter2. Tracker1.trackCenter2, because this was the second attempt of me tracking that point. For you, this might be tracker1.trackCenter1, or, oh, let me fix that. Or if you're using a transform node, it would be transform1.center1, or just maybe it's just center. But either way, you're going to want to find the variable name to your tracked position. These variables right here will again call up the displacement. It calls up both the X and Y position. To access just the X point, all you need to do is add another dot and X. That is the trick. That is the key. If you wanted to do the same thing for the Y, it would be dot Y. I'm looking for dot X. So what I can do, and again, I am not sure if this is the best way to do this, but this is how I ended up figuring it out. I added another transform node. Now, the reason I'm using this transform instead of the one without the parentheses is because this one, although it does already have the X and Y position split up, because I am already zoomed in on our frame here, if I were to use this transform node here and slide it left and right, you can see I'm losing information because we're zoomed in. If you're not working with zooms, and this might not be an issue for you, but I want to be able to follow the mouse and have it pick up things to the left and right of the frame. And also, I apologize that the image is blurry. I have been working with proxies. So I'm going to delete that. I'm going to go to our other transform node here. And again, this is a transform with the XF after it. But again, our center position is coupled. So now what we can do is I can right click on this new center position, go modify with XY path, go over to the modifiers, uncheck the keyframes, and now our X and Y position are split up individually. And you might be able to see where I'm going to go next. What I need to do is set an expression for this X variable. So I'm going to go into the entry field, type equals, bring up our expression box, and I'm going to go to my notepad and copy this in, and it's almost going to work. But if I paste this in, bang. And what you'll see is that we are moving with the mouse, but we're moving in the wrong direction. And that's because the way our expression is currently set up is that as our mouse here, and again, I'm sorry it's blurry, moves to the right, we're also shifting it to the right. Now, your first thought might be to just add, well, okay, let's do the opposite. Let's add a minus sign, but that's going to that's basically going to flip you around. What we need to do is subtract our track position from 1. What that essentially does is, because our canvas is normalized on an X scale of 0 all the way on the left side, what we're doing is we are offsetting the change in one direction by the other. So now as we play this, keep an eye up here on our mouse, you will see that it will remain exactly in the center of our frame. So hope that helps you guys out. Be sure to join the Discord if you have more questions, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace.